Deuteronomy.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 18. All right. I'm going to start at verse number 9. As Deep, you mentioned this. Usually when we go to Deuteronomy 18, we go to the prophecy pertaining to Christ. Now, before going into Christ, it actually points out and you mentioned earlier that the patriarch or the man that they are against is Christ. Now, before it actually goes into Christ, it's going to point out all of the different practices that would drive you away from Christ. So I'm going to start here in the book of Deuteronomy 18 and 9, and I'm going to read it down to 15. It says, "When thou art come to the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer."
Oh, hold on, lawyer. We need to cue this up because it says in the 18th verse, when we left Egypt, before we inhabit the land of Canaan, the Most High gave us law and said, "There shall not be found amongst any of our people that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire," which is child sacrifice, like the Gentiles were doing, and still do, possibly allegedly, within certain secret society circles, "or that useth divination," that's craft, divining, talking with spirits and all that, "or an observer of times," using the craft for familiar spirits to actually predict the future and all that. All right. Telling people their future, talking about, "I see something for you." I've seen everything that Christ and God said not to do. I've witnessed in the Christian church, where you have some witch in a church talking about she sees something in your future, or a sorcerer, a man there. I see prosperity coming for you. That's an observer of time. That's divination. Or an enchanter, or a witch, right? Now I'm reading the Bible as a lawyer. I have